morning, students. To continue with our Unit 1, the topic that we cover in this unit or in this session is Agile methodology. After studying the waterfall methodology and red methodology, we will discuss Agile methodology. Agile development is for several iterative and incremental software development methodologies. It means in the Agile methodology, we use both iterative as well as incremental software methodology. The most popular Agile methodologies include extreme programming, Scrum, Crystal, dynamic systems development method, lean development, feature-driven development. These are all the type of methodologies that are included in Agile methodologies that we can use for the implementation of Agile methodology. We can choose any methodology among them. How Agile differ from another? As we have studied waterfall methodology and prototype methodology, how Agile methodology is better from others and why we should adopt Agile methodology. As we check the today's scenario, Agile methodology is very much in. In traditional software development methodologies like waterfall model, a project can take several months or years to complete, and the customer may not get to see the end product until the completion of the project. It means all the phases that are covered by various methodologies take so much time for the completion of the project. As in the competitive scenario is there, it is very difficult for the customer as well as for the client to wait for the final product. And or it could be possible that your product will become obsolete when you launch your product in the market after a long span of wait. In contrast to this, agile projects have sprints or iteration. The sprint is generally the term that is used when we use the Scrum methodology, which is a part of agile methodology, which is shorter in duration. Sprints or iteration can vary from 2 weeks to 2 months. It is fixed in the agile methodology that a one part or one phase should be completed in between 2 weeks to 2 months. It should not be longer from this duration, during which predetermined features are developed and delivered. We will check it by one example. Example of software, agile software development. We take example of Google. Suppose Google is working on project to come up with the competing product for MS Word. That means Google is going to develop MS Word that provides all the features provided by MS Word and any other features requested by the marketing team. The final products need to be ready in 10 months of time. Let us see how this project is executed in traditional and agile methodology. By comparing both the methodology, we will find out how the completion of final product will goes on. If we consider this problem under the waterfall methodology, then at the high level, the project team would spend 15% of their time on gathering requirement and analysis. As we know, the first phase of waterfall methodology is requirement gathering. In the requirement gathering and analysis, a team spent 1.5 months, 20% of their time on design, that is approximately 2 months. Then is 40% on coding, then again it is 4 months, and unit testing within the 4 months. 20% on system and integration testing, the approximate time is 2 months. At the end of cycle, the project may also have 2 weeks of user acceptance testing by marketing team. Then again, 2 weeks have been spent here. Then in this approach, the customer does not get to see the end product until the end of the project, until it becomes too late to make significant changes. Firstly, I will come back to the example to understand what our problem is all about. This is Google is going to make MS Word, and it is approximately said that the final product will take 10 months of time. If we go by traditional waterfall model and follow all the rules that is made by waterfall model, said that 1.5 month will be spent in the requirement phase, 2 months in the design phase, 4 months in the coding phase, 2 months in the testing phase, and 2 weeks in the user acceptance testing phase. If we calculate all the time period, it will become of 10 months. That is 1.5, then 2, that means 3.5, then 7.5, then 9.5, and 12 weeks included 10 months. From this period of time, the user, the client, the customer is not able to get the final product. Then in between, it could be possible that if the Google is working on one project, the other company may work for same type of product and may launch that product earlier in the market from Google. This may prove as a loss to the Google. Then if we consider the same problem under the agile methodology, then how we will consider it? Firstly, this is the pictorial view that how this product will go on. I said 1.5 months for the requirement and analysis in the waterfall. Then 2 months, that means mid of Feb to mid of April for the design. Then 4 months for the coding. Then again 2 months for the testing. Then 2 weeks for the user acceptance testing. This is the pictorial view when you go with the traditional waterfall model. If we look for the same problem with the agile methodology, we say that in the agile methodology, each project is broken up into several iterations. When I started with the agile methodology topic, I told you that agile methodology is a combination of incremental as well as it is a as in the starting I told you that there are some iterations and incremental in the agile methodology. All the iterations should be of the same time duration, that is between 2 weeks to 8 weeks. This is the condition in the agile methodology. Then it says at the end of each iteration a working product should be delivered. Consider this line very carefully, that it says at the end of each iteration include all the phases starting from your requirement till your user acceptance testing. After each iteration, a final product will be delivered. Rather than spending 1.5 months on requirement gathering, in agile methodology system, the team will decide the basic core features that are required in the product and decide which of these features can be developed in the first iteration. It means if we spend 1.5 months over just to gather requirements and then we go with the design phase, in the agile methodology, we adopt that type of core features or basic features that we can cover in 1.5 months and can deliver our final product in the market within 1.5 months. That means if we compare waterfall methodology, after 1.5 months, only the requirement gathering will be get covered. But in the agile methodology, after 1.5 months, your final product will be ready. Then after remaining features, any remaining feature that cannot be delivered in the first iteration will be taken up in the next iteration or subsequent iteration based on priority. Again, when we launch our product after 1.5 months, then the team will find out what can be the updation in the software or in the application that are required and can be forwarded to the clients or customer in the next iteration. Then after the completion of next iteration, then the team can think over what are the amendments are required, what are the other changes are required, and they can make this in the subsequent iteration based upon the priority or based upon the requirement of the customer. Or we can relate it by taking example of any app. As you know, some updates are available in your Play Store. What that means, why updates are available, if we have installed our apps, then why we are updating it from time to time? Because after updating, we are getting some new features that are required by us, or that can be said that the team may think that customer may require it. At the end of the first iteration, the team will deliver a working software with the feature that were finalized for the iteration. There will be iteration, and at the end of each iteration, the customer is delivered a working software that is incrementally enhanced and updated with the features that were shortlisted for that iteration. As I told you that after each iteration there is some amendments, and then it will be delivered to the customer. The final product will be given to the customer. You may say that it could be possible that when you update your software or app, you may have updation after 1 week or 2 weeks. There is a possibility that the team may think customer may need this, and the custom team will ready that update for you within a week or more than a week. It will depend upon the manufacturers. This approach allows the customer to interact and work with functioning software at the time end of each iteration and provide feedback on it. Sometimes when we download our app, we provide feedback to the manufacturers that this feature is good or this feature is bad. Then with some amendments, the manufacturers again launch the product, again updated the product. This approach allows team to take up challenges more easily and make course correction if required. In the agile approach, software is developed and released incrementally in the iterations. As example of how many evolve through iteration is shown in the image. As we have taken an example of Google, that Google is going to make one MS Office, then let's suppose that in the first iteration, Google is only ready with the file, edit, format, view, and help menu system. But after that, Google find out that yes, one ruler is required here. Then it added one scale there. Then in the third iteration, some ribbon will be get added so that it will be easy for the customer to view the icons or view the tool over the ribbon. This is the third iteration. If we consider over first iteration till the third iteration, there are some changes in the MS Office. Similarly, if we compare your MS Word of 2007 or 2000 or 2010, 2016, 2019, you will find out there are some changes in each iteration. That is what they are following. They are following agile methodology. As in the today's scenario, most of the enterprises are following the agile methodology. Agile development has become very commonplace in IT industry. In recent survey, over 52% of the respondents said that their company practiced agile development in one form or another. That means most of the IT companies are following agile methodology, because in today's scenario there is a competition. No company can wait for months or years to launch their product. They want their product immediately. They want the response of the customer or feedback from the customer immediately. They want immediate product. So they are following agile methodology so that they can enhance the feature of in their respective product by taking feedback from the customer. Irrespective of your role in the organization, it has become very essential to understand how agile methodology works and how it differs from the other software development. In traditional approach, each job function does its job and hands over the next job function. That means if we follow any traditional model, we have to complete one phase, then only we can move to the another phase. The previous jobs has to be signed off before it is handed over to the next job function. That means we have to complete our first job. The working of one phase will be get stopped there. Then only we can move to the next job or to the next phase. For example, requirement gathering is completed and handed over to the design phase, and it is subsequently handed over to the development and then to the testing and then to the maintenance or rework. Each job function is a place by itself. In agile way of working, each feature is completed in terms of design, development, code, testing, rework before the feature is called done. There is no separate phase and all the work is done in a single phase only. As you compare your other methodologies, you can find out there are phases with having some name like requirement, implementation, testing. If we find out prototype model or a rapid application model, we were having the name of data modeling, process modeling, testing and turnover. That means each phase were differentiated by some name. But in agile methodology, there is a single phase, there is no differentiation of phase, there is a no particular diagram that will represent, yes, this is agile methodology, this is the flow of the agile methodology. All happens in a single phase. Could be possible after the there is a requirement gathering, then there is a manufacturing of the product, then there is testing, there could be skipping of some design and that phase. That means there is a mixture or collaboration of all the phases in a single phase. It is agile methodology. Then comes the rational unified process. Let we are having any product that we will have to complete in 12 months. Then you will write down here the month's name, firstly we will consider a traditional model, a waterfall model. Then in the traditional model, I will divide this 12 months into 5 phases, that is requirement, then design, then code, then testing, then maintenance. I consider the requirement phase will take 2 months, the design will take 3 months, then coding will take 5 months. If we calculate it, this is 10 months, and testing will take 1 month, and maintenance or user acceptance testing will take 1 month. I have to draw this according to that. Firstly, there is requirement, then there is 3 months for design, then from June to October, there is implementation of coding. In November, there is testing. In December, there is maintenance or user acceptance testing. The duration that I have set here 2, 3, 5, 1, 1, that may vary according to you. This is not fixed. Either it is provided to you by the examiner, Otherwise, it is fixed. You may vary it. If we consider the same problem under the agile methodology, then how will you show the same problem with diagrammatically? As we know, there are no phases. There is a single phase in the agile methodology. We may say that after 2 months, there is iteration 1. After 2 months, there is iteration 2. You may take a gap of 1 month, 2 months. It may vary. It is not mandatory that you have to take the iteration of 2 months. This is iteration 3. Then again, this is iteration 4. Then November, December, for 2 months, it's iteration 5. This is the view that you will show when you use the agile methodology. You have to show by using the word iteration. That means a final product will be launched after just 2 months. Then in the iteration 2, the final product launched after 2 months. You may specify here the duration. The first iteration is of 2 months, then second iteration is of 2 months, then the third iteration has taken the time of 4 months, then 3 months, then 1 month. It may vary according to your choice that how you will complete your final product. Then before coming to the rational unified process, I will tell you one thing that there are some 4 values and 12 principles that is followed by the agile methodology. What are these 4 values? What are these 12 principles? You can go to the Google and log in with agile manifesto.org. Under this, you will find out the agile methodology has given 4 values and 12 principles that one company or one enterprise should follow. As I have told you that there is a site that is agilemanifesto.org. There are 4 values and 15 principles that have been defined. Okay. Firstly, the 4 values are individuals and interaction over processes and tools. Okay. Agile methodology emphasis on individuals. That means they said it is more important that the people will conversate with each other rather than we must focus what is the process and what are the tools. Then working software over comprehensive documentation. Agile methodology said it is important to give importance to the working rather than to the file work or documentation. As in other methodologies, documentation part is very much important, but agile methodology say your model should speak or your work should speak in terms of practically, not theoretically. Then third value is customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This is it is important that the customer should collaborate with the, we may say, the developer, so that there will be no any problem. The customer communication is very much important, or customer input is very much important. Then is responding to change. Suppose if one plan has been followed, it is important that there is a there is always a chance to change. The software or team should be quick to get or accept the feedback if any amendment or change is required. These are the 4 values that have been given by the Agile Manifesto, and the 12 principles that have been defined are over highest priorities to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. That we have discussed that what is the priority of the agile methodology. They want early delivery of the product. They can't do it like they have the customer should wait for 10 months or 1 year for 2 years for the final product. They follow the quick service. Then is welcome changing requirement even late in development. Agile process harness change for the customer competitive advantage. As the competition market is there, so agile methodology always focused on changing requirements. That with the span of time, it is possible that the demands or requirements may vary. It is very common scenario that it is found that within a span of time, the requirements get changing. With the survey of some IT industry, it is found that approximately 30% of the business needs changes when the product is going to be developed. In between the development phase, the 30% of the business need changes. If we say there is a change in the 30% of the business need, and if we are following some traditional model, then there is a loss. It is not possible to change in between. Then deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to couple of months with the preference of shorter time scale. That we have already discussed that there is a duration of 2 weeks to 2 months. Then business people, developer must work together daily throughout the project. Then build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. That means having faith over the team. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to or within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Then it is important that they must discuss their ideas. Face-to-face conversation is very much important when there is some development of any product. Then working software is a primary measure of progress. As I said, they don't emphasis over the documentation. The main emphasis of agile methodology is of working software. Then agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developer, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Continuous attention to the technical excellence and good design enhance agility. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. Then the best architectures, requirement design emerge from cell organization team. That means we are not having different phases, we are working over a single phase. So then finding out the best person who can find out the requirement design, they can be merged together so that one iteration should be completely done and final product will be get launched. At regular intervals, the team reflect on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjust its behavior accordingly. That means teamwork is very much important here. Then coming back to the rational unified process, this is the other methodology. The projects need to be in the hand of real expert or else it may lead to an undisciplined form of development. Hence, you need someone who is not only good at managing project team but also who is technically enough to really drive a development such as this forward a successful conclusion. If we say it in easy term, then we may say that a project team should be experienced so that the final product you can get will be good. Again, all the phases are followed here by giving different names. Here in this diagram, you can see the phases are inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. to study in detail what is inception. Inception is concerned with the requirement gathering and analysis phase of waterfall model. It is in this phase the business case is prepared and discussed. This includes business success factor, that is revenue and market recognition, assessment of risk, creating a project plan. I have highlighted the words that you must take it as a keyword to better understand this phase. Creating a project plan and use case model, and the project manager will also write a project initiation during this phase. Project initiation, that means starting of the project, and creating a project plan. As in the requirement gathering and analysis, there is gathering of all the requirements and planning of all the project. Similarly, in this inception phase, this process or this methodology is mainly concerned for the business purpose, for high business purpose. So we may say that in this phase, the persons are or the team developers are more concerned about what are the risks. They are also measuring the risk along in this phase also. Rather than just collecting the requirement, they are also calculating the risk factors. Then comes the elaboration. This phase is marked by mitigation of risks through proper analysis. It includes development of the basic form of the project architecture. As in the design phase, there was some architecture is developed either in the form of schema, database, DFDs. Similarly, elaboration phase find out the project architecture. The business is revisited to revise the project risks, as some project risks are identified in the inception. Then after the architecture development, then again there is a project risk determined and ensure the managing project risk is possible. There is just an insurance, not they are managing their risk here. Firstly, they will find out the risk, then they are managing the risk in the other phase. Finally, prototypes are developed to demonstrate that each of the technical risks have been taken care of. If not, project may be cancelled here after this phase. Then there is a construction. This phase focuses on development part. Construction means implementation part or your coding part. The code is written for the various components and other feature of the software. As you can imagine, depending on the size of the software or the project, the number of iterations will increase. Also, there are number of iterations in the construction phase. Then comes the transition phase. The product moves from development to the production. In this phase of rational unified process methodology, the user gets a first look of the software and trained upon it. That means user acceptance testing is there. The software goes through beta testing and is assessed against the project quality plan detailed during the inception. Means all the acceptance testing will be done in the transition phase. This is the layout of your rational unified process. That is, if we consider the initial phase, this is called the inception. Then elaboration, where there is a mitigation of law risk is there. Then there is a construction. Then there are transition. Then comes the object-oriented methodology. Object-oriented methodology that will follow any object-oriented model or object-oriented technology like Java, C++, whatsoever they follow is called the object-oriented development. Object-oriented methodology said development approach used to build complex system using the concept of object, class, polymorphism, and the concept of inheritance. Encourages software engineers to think of the problem in terms of the application domain early and apply a consistent approach throughout the entire life cycle. Design applies object-oriented concept to develop and communicate the architecture and details how to meet the requirements. Similarly, all the process will go on, just they are using the technology object-oriented software. As some attributes are given with the example, we are having a class with the name of ball. Attributes are radius and weight. The operation is catch and throw. Before moving to the